Well, hey, we're going to be on time tonight. How about that? Good evening. I'm Mark Smith, president of Dick Smith Ford, and it is my honor to serve as the chairman of the board for the Raytown Area Chamber of Commerce, which has been serving the Raytown community since 1929. On behalf of the Chamber Board, the members of our Chamber of Commerce, and our president, Vicki Turnbow, and Vicki standing back there, say hello, Vicki. I'd like to welcome you to tonight's mayoral candidate forum and alderman meet and greet. We are proud again to partner with the League of Women Voters, and that's a community organization that since 1920 has worked to increase engagement in the political process and make democracy work for all citizens. And we have quite a few League of Women Voter folks here tonight, and I'd like for you to all raise your hands, wave, thank everybody. Let's thank the League of Women Voters for putting this on tonight. So with that said, I will defer to Carolyn Weeks with the League, who will discuss tonight's ground rules and start the forum. Thanks for coming, and I hope you enjoyed tonight's discourse. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to what I hope will be a very informative and educational and interesting evening for you. My name is Carolyn Weeks, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters, and I live in your neighboring city, Independence. Thank you to the sponsors, the Raytown Chamber of Commerce, along with the League of Women Voters, and the city who's provided this beautiful building. I just learned that my brother-in-law designed this building. I didn't know it until just recently. So League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization. It does not screen or endorse candidates. We are issue-oriented. We study the issues, and then we come to a consensus, and then we take our position to the legislators at the appropriate government level and try to get our positions across. What we really need to do is, I have a few just guidelines that we need to go over. All candidates who filed were invited to participate tonight. Because of the nonpartisan nature of our forum, campaign literature, that's caps, banners, t-shirts, are not permitted in the hall, but they will be out on the table in the hall after the presentations. You should have been given 3x5 cards. If you do not have them, please hold up your hand because you'll have questions that you want to write, and that's the form that we will take the questions. So raise your hand if you also have your card and question complete. We can bring them up to the question sorters. We ask that you not applause, and we'll kind of save that to the last anyway. Also, please turn off your cell phones. Other League members who are residing outside of Raytown but are helping this evening are the timekeeper, Cheryl Barnes, right here, the colorful stick there. Anita Steele is the site coordinator. Card sorters, Joanne Mills, Dixie Brown, and card collectors are Rhoda Ertel and Charles Steele. The format for the evening is this. Two mayoral candidates, Mr. Pat Ertz and Mr. Michael McDonough, will be answering your questions. Mayoral candidates have drawn for order of their 2-minute closing remarks and their opening remark. Following the answering questions by the mayor, the alderman candidates will have the opportunity to introduce themselves and participate in a meet and greet for 5 minutes each and answer questions. The main question is, what would you like to achieve in a 4-year term as an alderman of the city of Raytown? So we will start with the mayor's question to the mayor, and Mr. Ertz? Excuse me. I should speak louder. Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Ertz will be the first question. Thank you so much. We'll have the first question.
Is it our opening remark?
I'm sorry? Mr. Ertz. I'm sorry, I thought we had. What is your background or education qualifies you to be the mayor? What will be the first thing you will work to change? You can, the mic is hot right here.
Thank you. I'm Pat Ertz, obviously. Why do I think I'm qualified? What is my background? Well, I have been an alderman for the last 8 years for the city of Raytown. I've enjoyed that very much. I believe that gives me experience up here at the city about getting together with other aldermen to bring legislative issues forward. I also have 30-plus years of management experience, both in public and private entities. Private entities like Hy-Vee food stores that as a meat market manager, I learned about personnel issues, about deadlines, and about customer service. At my public business, which is Jackson County Public Water District 2, where I've served 8 years, I have learned about budgets and government regulations and planning for the future. I believe all those things will make me qualified for mayor.
Mr. McDonough.
My name is Michael McDonough. I believe the qualities of education that I have to bring to this job are, I just retired from the police department after nearly 40 years, so I've worked under a lot of administrations, up here. I have learned to do budgets, to help put the budgets together downstairs in the police department for being brought up to City Hall for my unit, written grants, gotten equipment from the different entities of the government for equipment to be brought here to Raytown to be used by our police department. I went to Longview, UMKC, CMSU, and I also went to Avila. I graduated from UCM School of Management, Police Management, certification back in the 80s. I have a lot of ideas that I'd like to bring people together to try to do to make businesses and neighborhoods nicer here in Raytown. Thank you.
Next question. This would be Mr. McDonough. You may start. How do you foresee downtown Raytown in the next 4 years?
What I'd like to see in the downtown Raytown is for it to be developed with the streetscape and buildings added to part of the green space so that we can have some nice restaurants and mom and pop type businesses and use the north side of the green space for concerts and get-togethers such as the barbecue contest, the Summer Fest, things of that nature. I'd like to see it be developed to the point it has these small businesses which will bring in jobs and also bring in taxes and help bring amenities of that sort downtown.
Mr. Ertz.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to continue to support our downtown businesses. They need us very much. I'd like to open up the green space to all public churches, organizations to use that green space for any activities they see fit and just to bring foot traffic downtown so that more people can see what we have to offer for the downtown businesses we have. I want to work with the businesses in order to locate them downtown. I want to encourage them to use our economic development department here at the city of Raytown to help see what they can do to make that process of becoming the mom and pop business, and I believe the city can help. And I also want to remind them all that we have already existing tax abatements in place, which can help for the financing for our downtown redevelopment. And of course, I want to make sure that we have streets and sidewalks, the streetscape project finished, and I want to continue all those things forward into the future. And we just need to come together as a community. I also would like to see us use some of that green space for green space if we see fit. Thank you.
Next question. Mr. Ertz, how will the city work to attract homeowners and businesses to Raytown?
I think as a city, we need to, first of all, start partnering with our school district to see what kind of help they can need as a city. Our home values are tied to how the school districts go. We need, if I'm elected mayor, I'd like to bring back the liaison position on the city council to the school district so we can be involved as the school board goes forward in deciding what the future, how to improve our schools in the future. I think we can also be aware that we got a new Cerner development going on at where the old Bannister Mall was. We need to have our streets and our community looking good for when new people come into town. We need to check out what we can do to work with Cerner as I hear they're going to hire 14,000 plus employees. How will we make Raytown look for those employees to live in we're so close to them. I'm sure it will help bring people into this town.
Okay. Next question, Mr. McDonough. Will there be a new tax increase and proposal if you are mayor?
I think that's something that somebody would have to study first. At this point, I don't see where that would be necessary. I think because the balanced budget, we'd have to look at what we want to accomplish first before we would approach having any kind of tax increases of any kind.
Are Raytown homes single-family homes? Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
You were talking about, I also do not see any reason for a tax increase. Over the last 8 years as an alderman, we had a balanced budget every year as a city. We've also reduced our debt over the last few years by over $1 million. We have over $2 million in reserves, 17% of our budget. Tax increases are only a last resort if essential city services cannot be met. But I think with my experience, the planning that I can bring to the table, we will not have to go down that road of asking anybody for more money.
Okay, and to you again. Mr. Ertz, are Raytown homes single-family homes? What is to be done to enforce property codes for single-family homes and rental property?
I believe the codes department should be fair and just and active. Codes do need to get out and work with the community on a one-on-one basis more. Whether we need to look at our codes department to find out what is lacking in certain areas, and in many areas they do a fantastic job. But there are areas where we all know it seems like there's problem areas. If there's anything that we can do as a Board of Aldermen to change our existing ordinances, I would go to the Board of Aldermen and ask, what can we do for ideas to end the amount of time between we get the junk, trash, and debris call to where it's finally cleaned up? It never seems to be quick enough, and I think it needs to be improved. I think we got enough minds between me and the City Council that we can come forward and make some things that will help our home values by keeping our streets look beautiful and look beautiful all the time.
Mr. McDonough?
I believe that the way we're going to do that is to have fair and productive codes enforcement. I believe also what we need to do is more like a community policing type of thing, where if we have somebody who cannot, because of their age, clean up a property, that we can hook them up with some kind of charity group or church that can come in and help them instead of continue to write them some kind of citations. I believe that getting the neighborhoods cleaned up and in order would also be encouraged by having some of the programs we used to have many, many years ago, like the Paint Up, Clean Up, Fix Up, where it was touted with banners and such things like that, where you can get people involved and interested in the community and see if they can all come together to help the other people that might need help and also clean up their own property instead of just strictly code violations. Thank you.
Mr. Ertz, how do you feel about the charter? Is the change good for Raytown, in your opinion?
I believe there are good charters, and I believe that when this comes to a vote, I will support the will of the people. I do not have an opinion on whether or not this charter is the right one, but I fully respect the 13 people who worked so hard on it for the last year. I encourage all the citizens to read the charter carefully, and go vote your conscience on the charter. And as mayor, with my experience, I will do the best I can to make sure it's implemented, and implemented fairly to the wishes of the people.
Mr. McDonough?
I was one of the charter commissioners, and we worked hard to write a charter that reflected best what we have now with some additions. I encourage everybody to take a good hard look at the booklet and read the questions and answers that the lawyer gave on it, and to really inspect it well. I believe that it is a good document, and I believe it's something that will help this community move forward. Thank you.
Mr. McDonough, what will be your 3 top goals as mayor?
My top 3 goals would be to get the businesses moving forward through initiatives where we can try to draw in businesses of all kinds, like restaurants, technology type businesses, also develop faster some of the downtown area as well as out on the highway, and bring in businesses that people would be genuinely interested in rather than just the chains. Those are important, but we also need the mom and pop businesses very badly in Raytown. The other thing I would do, again, would be to try and get the people involved in trying to clean up their neighborhoods and helping their neighbors get it cleaned up so that the neighborhoods will look really good, which will be more inviting. And the third thing is I would make sure that we do something to try to get the roads paved with asphalt rather than slurry seal and rocks, so that there's more curb appeal to those neighborhoods, which is what the taxes were meant for. Thank you.
Mr. Ertz?
My 3 goals would be property values, public safety, and economic development. I believe we must work in all respects to get property values stabilized and increasing again through code enforcement, aesthetics of the community, sidewalks, curbs, streets. I believe when it comes to public safety, we need to continue to fully fund our EMS and police departments and bring them forward to the modern era, which we have been doing with laptop computers in the cars, modern radio equipment. And when it comes to economic development, I'm sure everybody can drive down 350 highway and see all the changes that have happened over the last 6 or 8 years. We've taken 3 empty Chrysler dealerships and turned them into an IHOP, Hy-Vee Gas, and an Aldi. We need to continue that economic development, because that's the engine that's going to generate more sales tax dollars that the city needs in order to fund the better roads and the streets and the curbs that we all want.
Mr. McDonough? What do you think about the Rock Island ROW for mass transportation and the Katy Trail? Mr. McDonough?
I believe that if it can be done in a manner in which it doesn't cost the taxpayers a huge amount of money, it would be a boon to every community that it would touch. I believe it would bring in a lot of people into the areas that it's there, transportation, places for people to walk and bike and walk their dogs. And if that were the case, then you could also, again, build restaurants and places for them to shop, buy equipment for their hiking and their biking, and that would bring even more income into the city.
Mr. Ertz?
I've been following this Rock Island line, Katy Trail, for years and years and years, as some of you well know. This is an exciting thing to happen to the city of Raytown. unlike a bus service, which a route can change, once you get light rail, it's there forever. You cannot move those tracks. That means economic development happens along that line. The way it's set up currently, or plans that we have seen, all include a stop, at least one stop in Raytown, if not more. What a great vitalization for downtown would be if we could get that stop to be down by a new brewery that we could have downtown, or our businesses downtown. It would bring foot traffic down there and could help us greatly. And of course, the Katy Trail and the bike, with the biking on that also, I think would be wonderful. I believe that we should make our city a bike-friendly city, and having the Katy Trail come through here would be wonderful also. But we must get with our city leaders, and we must talk about how we will fund this item. I'm sure it will come with a cost to every city that's along it.
Mr. Ertz, what are the most pressing issues facing Raytown?
I think our home values and the increased amount of rental property, which you had mentioned earlier, is a very pressing issue on our minds. I believe we've all seen our neighborhoods and we feel like maybe they're not what they used to be, but I think they can be, and I think they will be. I think that as a pressing issue to do more development of our roads, we need to go back to why we do not have the money in the first place. And I believe that comes from our sales tax base. Our sales tax runs the city, and we need to increase the amount of sales taxes that we come in, not as a sales tax per item, but the amount of dollars spent in our community, so we have more money to fund going forward. As a city, we had a survey that showed that we're only receiving back about 65 cents for every available dollar from the Raytown citizens. Lee Summit's getting back $1.35, $1.50. So when we shop in other communities, that money is going to help their police department and their streets and their roads. If we could bring that back to the city of Raytown and get us up just to the dollar level from 65 cents, it would be over $1 million more that we could add, and nobody would pay another cent in taxes.
Mr. McDonough, same question.
I think one of the first things you have to do is to bring people into this city, is to take care of the aesthetics and the infrastructure. One of the things I've heard several times is when people come into our city and they see the gateways and they're run down or they're not being taken care of, one of the first things they do is make a decision, if that's the first thing they see, whether or not they want to go any further. I think also take care of the roadways. The roadways are in bad shape, and get them taken care of. And if that takes grants that are out there to try to take care of the infrastructure and grants to take care of the roadways, then I think we ought to apply for those, and I think we ought to use that money to forward those things as quickly as possible and get the aesthetics going. The other thing, again, is the neighborhoods, once again, and also trying to draw businesses once that all happens, so we have more tax base and more tax money, as well as people wanting to come here to spend their money in the mom and pop shops that I would like to see. Thank you.
This is another question regarding the charter. Why does charter put more control in hands of aldermen instead of mayor? That would be Mr. McDonough.
Okay. From what I see in the charter, it does not change much at all what it has now in our ordinance and what it would be under the charter. I don't see, when people say that, I don't see that there's any great change whatsoever.
Mr. Ertz.
While I do see some changes in it, I don't know why does it do that. It seems to be a question for the charter writers rather than me. I believe as it sits, it is said to be a weak mayor, strong alderman form of charter. I believe that's going to be up to the voters to decide if that's how we would like to do the city, have the city run.
Back to the charter. Mr. Ertz, what specific controls of our city by the state need to be changed because these controls are bad for us?
Well, the state of Missouri will always trump the city whether we have a charter or not. So I think we could just look at Columbia, Missouri, just passed an ordinance duly through their city banning plastic bags in grocery stores. And the state of Missouri went all the way to banning the ban of plastic bags. So cities could not do that. And that's a charter city right there that kind of showed that who's boss as far as what goes on as far as doing your government. What controls we have, we've gone down for legislative issues, putting sales taxes on the ballots. Right now, we would have to go to the state of Missouri to ask to see if it's okay for us to put on the ballot to ask our citizens whether or not we would have a sales tax increase. With a charter form of government, that takes that level out. We can do it as a city. If we decided that we needed to put something forward to our people, we can do it directly.
Mr. McDonough?
I think the real simple answer to that is, why should we have to go to Jeff City? If it's not something you can do by state ordinance, then we wouldn't try doing it. However, if it's something, as Mr. Hurst was talking about, a sales tax or something like that, why can't the people of Raytown figure that out for themselves, and they'd be able to with a charter, rather than having to go to Jeff City at all? Why do we need to go to Jeff City when we can run our own city? That's my simple answer.
No other questions? Any other questions? Cards that haven't come in? Okay, we'll go to the 2-minute closing remarks then for you. And Mr. Ertz, would you begin with your 2-minute closing arguments?
Well, thank you very much, League of Women Voters. Thank you, Chamber of Commerce, and thank you all for being here today. It's great to see so many people that care about our city to show up on a beautiful night for this. Okay, as mayor, I will be accessible. I will keep regular posted hours so citizens without an appointment can communicate with me. We have an abundance of talented citizens with great ideas, and I want to better engage those citizens. I will ask and encourage aldermen for their ideas to move this town forward. We will openly discuss topics before us in a fair and respectful manner. I will encourage the aldermen to bring new ideas forward, because continuing the progress in Raytown is the most important goal. I will continue the economic development with the intention of keeping more of those sales tax dollars in Raytown. I plan to use that new revenue for better infrastructure. We need streetlights, we need sidewalks, we need so much more. I will bring back the liaison position, as I said, to the Board of Aldermen for the school districts. Again, our property values are tied to the quality of our schools, and we need to be better prepared to find ways in which we can help them so we can help us. I would also bring back the Finance Committee so the aldermen can have a better idea about the oversight of the finances of the committee. I will continue to look for tenants for the green space, and I do think we need to seriously consider leaving some of that space green. Why don't we have conversations about a band shell or a public meeting area in our downtown area? I encourage the citizens on April 8th to go to the REAP Conference Center at 6:30, where our Parks Department will be doing a study for the future of our park system. Be a great place to go if you are interested in community centers. We do a lot of great things at Raytown, and we have so many talented people working at the city, and so many others that we need to get involved. With that said, I have a lot of work ahead of us to continue the progress in the city of Raytown. I have the experience in the public and private and civic sectors to achieve our goals. And
Finish your sentence, if you would,
continue
please.
to make this a great place to work, live, and raise a family. And I ask for your vote for mayor on April 7th.
Mr. McDonough?
Thank you.
We're going to wait until the end of pause.
I am a Raytowner. My deep passion is to serve my community, and that's what made me choose to live and work here. I made it a point to be active in many community charitable programs because I believe that is how you make a difference in your community, helping everyone have a better life. After much soul searching, I decided serving as mayor of Raytown would be a perfect fit for me after I retired. I then developed a creed for serving as mayor. C would be community service, the willingness to support friends and neighbors to build our community through positive collaborations when government has lost transparency and its ability to directly connect with the citizens it serves. We need leadership that is willing and able to build bridges, and under my administration, we would start that in our community on day one. Recruiting new jobs and businesses. Jobs and small businesses are the drivers of our community and help us to focus on smart, affordable amenities to our community. Sometimes government gets in the way with business startups and job growth because it can be inefficient. I will work to streamline these practices so they serve legitimate public interest in the most efficient way possible. In this way, we can champion the message that Raytown is a great place to live and a great place to work. Education. Like schools throughout the country, our school system is facing challenges in dealing with economic and societal changes. The city's role is to support its school district, not run it. I look forward to working with them to continue Raytown's quest to build the highest performing schools. Enforcement. The safety of our community is one of our greatest assets. I remain committed to an efficient and effective police force with a community-oriented approach of law enforcement as it has been under Chief Lynch. Development. One of Raytown's greatest assets is its geographic proximity to the Kansas City downtown. I think we need greater focus on entertainment and arts, crafts, creative chefs and restaurants, and high-quality dining. I believe in the community and the individual citizens' power to change our situation. I ask you to join me in this service mission. I ask you to vote for me on April 7th. Thank you and good evening, and thanks for having me.
Thanks for your excellent questions, and thanks to the candidates very much. So this concludes the mayoral part of our forum, and we're now going to the alderman question, and if they would come forward and take their seats up here, and you will be called on by ward and by the way you are listed on the ballot. Do we need to take our seats, please? Remember that the question that the alderman candidates are going to answer for you is, what would you like to achieve in a 4-year term as an alderman of the city of Raytown? And Ward 1 will be called on. Joe Kramer is the first. And you can just take your place at the...
I'm very nervous in front of a microphone. How long do I have?
5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay. The first thing I would like to do is bring economic development, continue economic development to the city of Raytown. We've worked hard with staff. We've created a position for an economic development director who goes out and seeks business to come to this community. We've made great strides. We've filled empty buildings. We still have empty buildings some to demolish, some and rebuild, some to rehab. So to continue that trend of economic development, we've used different tools, whether it be tax abatement, 353 tax abatement for our downtown district. We have used just that economic development director and his charisma and his ability to work with the board and the board to work with him to affect change economically in the community. The second thing I'd like to do, I have personally brought forth a dangerous building ordinance that allowed us to tear down condemned buildings that needed to be taken down, but we had no ordinance that allowed the city to do that. The second thing I did was to create a vacant and abandoned building ordinance that gave us the tool to allow for banks to register their property with the city, so that way we've got somebody to contact in case there's a property maintenance issue. And then the third leg of that stool, I'd like to create rental regulation. Alderman Urch, our mayoral candidate, touched on rental, and quite honestly, 28% of our rooftops in Raytown are rental. And if we effectively isolate those rental, where we have people that inspect them before people move in to make sure that they're livable, rather than to allow an investor to buy that property cheaply and then just rent it cheaply, it will be an effective tool to isolate those rental properties, which frees up much of our codes department to effectively or be more effective in addressing property maintenance issues on single family dwellings other than rental. And then the third thing I'd like to do is to continue to work with staff. We've got a very professional staff here at Raytown City Hall. They're all very well trained, and they are educated. We're essentially the liaisons between staff and the constituents. And so I would like to continue a good working effort with staff to ensure that we're able to fulfill all the obligations that we have to the constituents. Thank you.
And if you'll just hold your applause, I think we can get through this more quickly until the end. Karen Black, please.
Well, first, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters and the Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity to tell a little bit about myself. We were asked what we wanted to achieve in our 4-year term, and I realized I simply just want to go forward. I want to help our city move forward, and this is what I'd like to do for you if elected. I want to make a difference with positive change and fresh ideas. Our downtown is our identity, and it needs to be the showcase of our civic pride. Replacing worn-out infrastructure should be a priority. That includes streetlights, new sidewalks, and simply trash cans in our downtown. As a first-ring suburb, we need to be ready to link ourselves to the Katy Trail or the light rail. We should maximize the state and federal grants that are available to us to leverage what the city can do. As a community, hand in hand with the city, we need to maximize our green space with small businesses. This will bring in more taxes and incorporate a place for our community to come together. I would like to work with the community and the Chamber of Commerce to bring a festival to our downtown celebrating our heritage, where we can come together as a community, celebrate our history on the trails, and advance our local attractions like the Rice Tremonti, which to my understanding is the oldest standing structure in Jackson County. It's these types of things that will give our children a sense of pride and want to tell others where they're from. Speaking of heritage, just so you know a little bit about me, I've been married to my husband Mark for 32 years. We've lived at 9416 East 69th Street for 20 years. We're active members of the River Church, and we've been there for 8 years. I've been employed in the biosciences field for 20 years, and my specialty is in quality control. I'm a born and raised Raytownian and a lifelong resident of Ward 1. All of my family has graduated from the Raytown School District, and my granddaughter gets to start her journey this fall. My family history is deeply rooted in Raytown. They settled here in the early 1900s. My great-grandmother was one of 3 graduates of Raytown High in 1916, and Frost Road, just east of Raytown, is named after my great-great-grandfather. So in order to celebrate our heritage, our citizens need to be involved in our city government. They need to be invited to participate in decisions about our future. The best way to invite participation is to make people more informed. We need a government channel that's available to everyone with current applicable information. I don't even have the Raytown government channel because AT&T Uverse doesn't supply it. We need to work with all 4 different carriers so that they understand communication is important to us as a community. Our citizens need to be informed in order to be engaged. This includes enhancing the website for transparency and convenience. We need a straightforward, user-friendly website for all ages. We also need to engage our neighborhoods, from neighborhood watches to the health emergency assistance response and to Project Lifesaver. We can all work to help our seniors, our children, and each other. The Raytown Police website is an excellent source to learn more about these services. It's time for Raytown government to step up and let our community's voice be heard. Raytown runs best when it's run by those who want to see Raytown as a better place to live. We want our town to thrive, not just to survive. Not just for us that are here now, but for our children, our grandchildren, and others, so they can be proud to show where they're from. Raytown's in my blood. It's my town, and it's your town. I am sincere and honest, and I will be accessible to my ward. I would be honored to be your voice and would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Greg Walters.
Good evening. My name is Greg Walters, and I'm running for Alderman in Ward 1. The Chamber of Commerce and the League of Women Voter have asked us to tell what we would like to achieve in our 4 years as an alderman. I think it would be fair to say that everyone in this room wants to see downtown Raytown thrive. And I'm sure that we want to see our economic engine continue humming along in Raytown to bring us the funds that we need to get all of the dreams that we want. More than anything else, I think we can all say that we want to feel safe in our neighborhoods. We want to feel especially safe in our homes. Please know that I will work for all of those things, and I will work in every aspect that was brought up here this evening in that regard. My campaign slogan is back to basics. I brought that forward in response to some of the things that I've seen in the last number of years in Raytown regarding how our roads are being treated and how our streetlights are needing to be actually, the program needs to be rejuvenated. The infrastructure, our roads, our streetlights, and our sewers may be the mundane subjects, but when done correctly, they become a reason why we want to call this town our home. Many years ago, when I was first elected to the Raytown City Council, it was an election year very similar to this one. When the votes were all counted, we had a new city council. We were a bunch of young aldermen anxious to take on the challenge of running a city. A number of us took it upon ourselves to go visit with the Public Works Director. At that time, we were doing a program on our streets called Slurry Seal. It was a mixture of oil and gravel, which was extremely unpopular with the citizens in the city. We went and told them in a very firm but kind manner not to do that type of work anymore on our streets. I wonder how many people this evening drove up to this meeting along Old Raytown Road, right in front of City Hall. If you did, then you saw how a refurbished street is supposed to look. It is smooth, it does not have cracks, it increases the values of the homes on the street. The light aggregate seal, the mixture of tar and gravel that is being used on our streets now, has a purpose, but it is not to be used to repair streets. It is to be used to increase the length of the life of a street. If a street is to the point where it's cracked and falling apart, then it needs to be replaced. It does not need to be sealed into place. Another area of basic service that needs attention is our streetlights. If Raytown has a streetlight program, it is one of the best kept secrets in town. During my campaign, I have walked every street in Ward 1. There are many intersections and lengthy areas of street that are in need of proper lighting. I promise you that if I'm elected to the Board of Aldermen, before my 4-year term is up, we will have a program in place to replace and bring in new street lighting to our neighborhoods. Finally, I want to discuss an issue that is a concern to all of us. Crime is a problem that is not exclusive to Raytown. It is rampant throughout the metropolitan area. Unfortunately, we live in a time where there are many people in the world who believe that if you want, you take. I wish there was an answer to the problem of crime as simple as saying to change the street overlay program or to bring in streetlights to alleviate the problem. I would say this: the best step we can take is to become familiar with our neighbors, watch out for each other, and certainly not be shy about contacting the police department when we see suspicious activities. I live near one of the city's parks, and therefore I frequently see police patrolling the neighborhoods around the park. The effect has been dramatic. People who break into homes do not like to be around the police. I believe an increased police presence in our neighborhoods would have a good effect in keeping our neighborhoods safe. I would work with the police to make this practice a reality throughout the city. So there you have it. It may not be dramatic, but I believe if we have properly maintained streets, more and improved street lighting, and a more interaction between the police and the people of Raytown, we would have a far better community. Finally, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters, the Chamber of Commerce, and everybody here for attending. Thank you for listening.
And from Ward 2, Jim Azir.
Did we have a specific question?
No.
But there's no question.
What are you going to do?
Okay, sure, thank you. Jim Azier, I have a long record of serving the people of my ward. My number one goal in Ward 2 has to be connected to my constituents and take their needs seriously. That means when they call, I answer the call the best, quick as I can, and I go out to the neighborhood and find out what their needs are. I come back to City Hall and see how we can resolve them. That's what constituents want the most. They want to know that when their alderman is there, that they voted for, they can call them and that alderman will fight to meet their needs. Now, I can share some of the things that the people of Ward 2 think are really important for Raytown. The number one thing that I hear is they want crime rate to go down. They think that we had better times in Raytown. They feel it needs to be improved. The second thing I hear is that they want their property values to go up. They feel that City Hall should have a strategy and a program to address property values in Raytown. Another thing is a long, serious thing that they've told me over and over again. I did bring that to the board at one time. They want a smoke-free environment in restaurants. Many of those people leave Raytown to eat outside of Raytown because we do not have a smoke-free environment. They also want a sit-down restaurant in Raytown. We've wanted that for a long time. We do have an economic development who we tried to address that, but they're tired of the new fast food restaurants. Nice restaurants important to them. I think equally important that I would like to address is a movement or program for trash-free Raytown. Even the poorest people, and I've been in some poor neighborhoods, keep their yards clean. They don't throw trash on the streets. I think we need to make the people of this city aware that we have far too much trash on Raytown Traffic Way, Blue Ridge, and all of our major streets, and even in the neighborhoods. I've had people in my ward say, I want to sell my house because they're on the corner of Raytown Road and 1st Street, and every day they have to go out and pick up the trash. I've seen it also even in Ward 1. These are pretty serious problems. These are things that the Board of Aldermen must address. I think, to me, my goal, my ultimate goal is I want quality of life to improve so that we can attract young, new families to fill up the many vacant houses that we see on this almost every street. One block in my ward has 4 vacant houses. That's a serious problem. The neighbors on that street are concerned because of those vacant houses. These are the kinds of things that should be a priority. Yes, we need better overlay. Overlay is expensive, but we can address quality of life in Raytown. We've already done that. I think your snow removal, for example, is superb. We did it in one area, we can do it in others. So I will conclude that for all aldermen, at least it is for me, is my commitment to the voters to know what they want, to fight what they want in City Hall, even if it means sometimes going against the mayor or going against other aldermen, to stand up for their beliefs. I've already done this in the area of a community center. We've launched a committee to try to build a community center because so many of the seniors have no place to go. Thank you very much.
Chris Rathbone, please.
Hello, I'm Chris Rathbone. I'm running for alderman in Ward 2. I've been married to my wife for 7 years, and we have 3 beautiful girls who all have attended Raytown schools since they were old enough. I served in the Army for 12 years. I was discharged due to injuries I suffered while deployed in Iraq. I was disappointed I could no longer serve my country, and that's why I decided to run for alderman in Ward 2. I knew that I could make a difference serving my community. If elected during my 4-year term, I'd like to work to improve our aging infrastructure. We've got areas, especially in my ward that I've walked, where they have no curbs, no storm drains, and they've got a lot of water runoff that's destroying their driveways. We need to fix that. We need more street lights in Raytown, and we need to work on the roads. I think that we also need to do a better job of marketing the green space and get more people walking downtown. I'd like the city to find a developer to buy the property and turn it into a destination that families can come down and enjoy in an afternoon. We need to implement the downtown streetscape plan immediately. I'd like to see the city use a more common sense approach to codes enforcement. I've talked to people that have had a code violation because their house started peeling paint in the middle of January and they had 30 days to take care of it, and I don't think that makes sense. We've got a lot of people that live in Raytown that are on fixed incomes, and sometimes it's hard for them to keep up with their house. They don't have enough money, or they're older and they can't do it themselves. I'd like to see something set up where we could have some volunteers work and take donations for paint and other building materials, and have something in the community to help people keep their houses up to code. I'd also like to see more people get more involved with the city business. Voter turnout, I think, is horrible, in my opinion, in Raytown. I think one thing that would help would be to broadcast the alderman meetings on all the companies. I think that'd get more people interested, the ones that can't show up to meetings for one reason or another. I think that also passing the charter, giving them people more power, is a good way to get more people involved in what's going on in the community. I want to thank the Raytown Chamber of Commerce and the League of Women Voters for the opportunity to speak tonight, and I'd appreciate your vote on April 7th. Thank you.
Steve Gunther, please.
Thank you all very much. My name is Steve Gunther. I've lived in Raytown since 1992. I raised my 3 sons with my wife, all went to Raytown schools. I was very fortunate. They all met 3 wonderful women from Raytown. And we get to celebrate with them great family values. And that's one of the things I think I want to start off with first. We need to find a way to improve in family values. If we want to change our community, we need to start with ourselves. My sons knew that when they went to school, they had to be accountable to me, not the school district, for what they did and how they performed. That makes a big difference in how children are raised. When you teach children how to raise children, they become great parents. And I think I have 3 wonderful sons that are great parents. It's obvious that you've already heard some of the improvements that have to be done to improve our road structures, lighting and so forth like that in our communities. I too have walked our ward and seen the vacant houses and so forth, but we actually really need to address why that is before we can actually think of how we can move people in. There's a great need in Raytown to learn how to begin to celebrate ourselves again. As an architect and urban planner, my focus is on downtowns. I'm a member of the Missouri Main Street Association and also the National Main Street Association, and current president of the Raytown Main Street Association, who has worked very diligently to try to change the atmosphere in downtown. And it's one of the areas that I can tell you from experience, downtowns are where we celebrate life, and we have no downtown. It's very obvious we don't have a downtown, and until we learn and figure out a way to improving our downtown, we won't know how to celebrate ourselves. Back in about 2005 or 2006, one of my partners and I and a friend from Raytown, or from the Kansas City Parks and Rec, met with officials at Union Pacific Railroad in my office to begin some negotiations for the Rock Island Corridor. A lot of people don't know that. The other thing that people don't know is the Raytown Main Street Association has worked and actually proposed in the last, I think it was 2013 when we had, or 14 when we opened up the green space for a new RFP. We submitted a plan to move 62nd Street south from in front of, or next to the library, to align with the 62nd Streets east and west, creating a downtown city park where we can begin to celebrate and establish a permanent farmers market. That plan was received, and actually received well from one of the developers, who thought it would be a great amenity to the development that they were trying to plan. I think a place to celebrate, a place downtown to where we can have a permanent farmers market is extremely important. A place where we can gather together, to where we can close off streets and have festivals, downtown events on a regular basis. We can even have movies in the park downtown up against the library if we wanted to. But until we begin to learn how to celebrate ourselves, we will not be changing Raytown, and we will not be bringing people into the community without that. I mean, they want to see a change. I mean, I don't buy my clothes in Raytown because there's no place for me to buy my clothes. I have a long trunk, and I need a tall size shirt, and you just can't get that anywhere. I would like to see a men's clothing store and a women's clothing store downtown, and I believe we need mixed use development. We can't have our downtown subject to single entity developers. We need to make sure that any developer that comes down, make sure that they bring more than just a grocery store or a retail shop, that they bring all of it. And I think when we begin to put our best foot forward as citizens and as a government to initiate a process downtown, we'll attract developers in, but we got to do that first. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. I appreciate the Chamber of Commerce League of Women Voters for letting me speak, and I'd be proud to serve my constituents in Ward 2 as their new alderman. Thank you very much.
From Ward 3, Sterling Brown. Brian Myers from Ward 3.
Good evening. My name's Ryan Myers, and I'm running for Alderman of Ward 3. Since I'm new to Raytown politics, I'd like to start off with a little bit about myself. My grandparents moved to Raytown in the early 1960s, and come to find out, my mom and dad actually grew up 6 houses apart from each other on Northern. They became high school sweethearts and will have been married 33 years this October. Now enter myself. I've been a part of the Raytown community for 26 years, and I graduated in 2007 from Raytown High School. So that addresses the question, yes, I am old enough to vote. After high school, I attended Kansas State University, in which I graduated with a bachelor's degree in economics. I've been employed at Valbridge Property Advisors, Shaner Appraisals, and Overland Park, for the past 2.5 years where I consult, appraise commercial real estate, and mitigate risk for our clients. The reason that I'm here tonight is you, the voter. You're here at City Hall tonight having taken time out of your day to make sure that you make the most informed choice for Ward 3 and the best choice for the future of Raytown. So, what do I plan to achieve in my 4-year term as alderman, and why am I the best candidate to do so? Tonight, I won't be talking about what I plan to do in my 4-year term as alderman. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about what I'm going to achieve in my 4-year term as alderman. This is my first time running for public office, so my first step as a freshman alderman will be to learn. In order for me to make the best decisions possible, I need to step back and take a look at the big picture for Raytown. This will allow me to listen and learn about the needs of our community. Once I'm well informed, then my goal is to dive in and tackle problems as they come to the Board of Aldermen. Okay, so back to the question, what do I want to achieve in my 4-year term as alderman? I want to build on prior successes while examining policies that don't work for Raytown. And I want to make the necessary changes to move to a brighter future. I believe that the city of Raytown is doing a great job in its day-to-day operations given its limited resources. I celebrate where we are and I'm excited about our future. Every city has its own specific challenges that need to be overcome. I believe Raytown needs to address its dated infrastructure, exhausting all possible options, including bond measures and federal assistance. Much of Raytown does not have sidewalks or curbs with stormwater drainage. In order to spur development, Raytown needs to bring its infrastructure up to par with surrounding municipalities. Developers are more likely to bring business into an upgraded city than one that does not have a market-acceptable level of infrastructure. Raytown has an aging population base. I want to increase the quality of life for our older adults and to provide transportation for those who may not be able to drive any longer because human interaction is a necessity. Finally, I want to work to improve property value in Raytown. This works hand in hand with improving infrastructure. Between 2007 and 2013, Raytown's total real property value decreased by 16%. I will work to bring property values back up to pre-recession levels, utilizing municipal incentives for residential remodeling and infrastructure improvements. This also includes addressing the crime rate in Raytown. Just today, my brother had his catalytic converter stolen from his car in broad daylight from Raytown High School. Having worked in the majority of cities in the metro area, I understand the importance of having a strong downtown, and I want to focus on its revitalization. I believe that one of the biggest issues surrounding downtown redevelopment in Raytown is the ability to attract new tenants and retain them. In order for downtown Raytown to feasibly be redeveloped, jobs need to be created to attract potential developers and new tenants. This may require government assistance at first to mitigate risk to the developer that's taking a risk on our community. But I believe that assistance should be phased out as prevailing rental rates in downtown become economically sustainable to support future development. When someone thinks of a downtown, they think of density. With many services, housing in a smaller space as opposed to a sprawling subdivision. I believe density and walkability are keys to revitalizing downtown Raytown. I believe that mixed-use development that includes multi-story buildings that include residential on upper floors with supporting retail on the ground floor will attract new residents and businesses to Raytown. This is the trend that young people want and has proven effective in such cities as Overland Park. I am the face of the future of Raytown. I stand here tonight because I want to represent you. That's because I am one of you. Now that you know what I'm going to focus on if elected, I'd appreciate your support on April 7th. Thanks.
Mark Moore.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mark Moore, and I'm running for Alderman in Ward 3. I've owned my home since 1981 here in Raytown, and I like the place. So that's why I'm here, and I'm in front of you, and I'm running for Alderman. My background encompasses 40 years of construction, commercial and military DOD. And at the same time, I think about how Raytown needs to be constructed. What I've heard a lot of is sticks and stones. Everybody's throwing sticks and stones, nobody's picking them up. Take the stick, make a fire, get with their families, roast a little hot dog. Have a good time with it, okay? Pick up the stones, build some bridges, build some roads. It's not happening. To address the question this evening, I would like to say how everybody on this planet thinks they're so intelligent. That, we got smartphones, all this stuff's going on. But I'm going to tell you a story about two crows, and that's who the smartest people are on this planet. If you've seen two crows behind a truck stop, wherever, and they're fighting over a bag. How cute that is and everything else. Try to tear a piece of paper open, tear it in half with one hand. Two beaks. All right, they're laughing at you. They take the goodies. There's the trash. We're stuck with it, okay? Innovation, imagination. That's what Raytown needs. I hear downtown this, downtown that. Everybody has a downtown, but it's never been named. There's not a name for this downtown down here. Where are the pilot test programs for your roads? Not a one. They make great modern overlay systems, 3/8, thin lays. How come some of our guys haven't been set up to Ohio to the seminars? Asphalt seminar every year. Modern asphalt products are put out. Instead of spending 90 grand to pay a consultant to go do something, send them guys up there. The public works guys, they'd love it. Bring back that information. Those thin lays, $5 a yard. A road can run up to $90 a yard. Last 13 years, it's there, it's now, let's do it. Street lights, I've heard that a lot tonight too. It's street light, street light, street light. What about a solar street light project? It only takes one off the grid. Used them at Chocolate Soup at a hotel. 6 years they went. They last 100,000 hours. That's 10 years. They don't cost very much. 3 to 5 grand, we install them, they're off grid, no electricity bill. Don't hear about that. But we are going to buy some street lights from Kansas City Power and Light. I want those used cars too, don't you? I don't. We've had enough of that. As for a name for downtown, there's no identity here in Raytown, honestly. Look at that mural. Right behind you, it's there. You've been walking on it most of your life. It's the Santa Fe Trail. If the railroad comes through here, there's your foundation. Silver Dollar City has taken all the thunder from everybody here. They're the ones that get all the revenue. Have you seen their website? Their little carnival is what it is now. Kiddie rides. Where's the craftsmen? Where's the shops? Very few. That's what brings revenue here. That's what brings people here. You don't have to raise taxes on the people that live here. Why? The people that come here spend their money, and there's your roads, there's your infrastructure, there's your sewer systems. And guess what? Your property value goes up. It doesn't go down. That's what Raytown is missing. Think about what's underneath your feet here. It's a time capsule. Use it. Think about it. Lightning, bam, thunder. Let's do it. Thank you very much.
From Ward 4, Mary Jane Van Buskirk.
Glad I don't have to follow that. Take a minute.
I would like to thank the League of Women Voters in the Raytown Chamber for having this meet and greet tonight, but most importantly, I want to thank all of you for coming. I am Mary Jane Van Buskirk, a 42-year resident of Raytown. I am sure you are asking why I'm running for office. I was asked a number of years ago to run for office. At that point in time in my life, I didn't have the time and to devote to the job. But now, being retired, I do have the time and desire to serve the citizens of Ward 4. We live in a great city and we need to market it as such. We have easy accessibility to interstates and highways to get you anywhere in the metro in a matter of minutes, providing the traffic's moving good. We have affordable housing, great parks, friendly neighbors, and much more. We do have problems in our city, but what city doesn't? We can go back to the past. We can't go back to the past, but working together, we can make Raytown better than it's ever been. Some of the issues I will address if elected to serve you are the following: increase police patrols in the neighborhoods, We all know nationwide crime is on the increase, whether it's murders, robberies, car thefts, or home burglaries. More visibility of police in neighborhoods will help reduce these problems. Our citizens deserve to feel safe and secure in their homes. Streetlights go hand in hand with increased police patrols in neighborhoods. There are many areas in our city that lack proper lighting. Proper lighting will cut down on crime and other issues. Again, we need to make our citizens first, and they need to feel safe and secure in their homes. I feel very strong about code enforcement, but it needs to be fair and consistent. If our property is in need of repair, the lawn needs mowing, the house needs painting, or just picking up the trash, if it's not done, it brings down the value of our neighborhood and the value of our city. This too goes hand in hand with economic development. We have a great economic development administrator in Tom Cole, but we need to help by keeping our property and businesses looking good. Economic development is the engine that pulls the train. If we want to provide services to the taxpayers, we must have economic development and a strong tax base. I want to review the street maintenance program. Having good streets and curbs and sidewalks also will increase our property value. I am not making a promise that I can accomplish all of this because I can't do it by myself. But I will work tirelessly with the other elected officials and board members to make this city better. I am going to close with a remark about Adele Hall and the principles by which she worked and lived her life. It's getting the work done, not who claims credit, that really matters. You can cooperate, but don't sacrifice your principles. And working with others, you can accomplish things that none of you could have done alone. And I intend to apply those principles to my job as alderman if I should be elected. Thank you, and please consider me for your alderman on April the 7th.
Steve Myers.
Good evening, I'm Steve Myers, and thank you to the League of Women Voters and the Chamber for having this event. And if anyone in this room is not invigorated by the attendance tonight, or that every single ward had a candidate, our future's really pretty darn bright in that regard. I would like to take my hats off to the candidates. It's definitely very, very, very hard work. I guess I didn't get the complete packet and how much time was going to be spent in that regard. But it does come even with personal tragedy. I mean, we had one of the candidates endure a tremendous loss, and I mean, it just floored us. It took me right off point and brought into focus what's important, and that's family. And I dropped what I was doing and went to the aid of a fellow candidate, and that was the right thing to do. And we need to think about, in that regard, what's important. A little bit about me. I've got 2 sons. I've got a son, 33, lives in Olathe, Kansas. Doing well. Gave me my first grandson in August. And I've got a son that's playing college football in Olathe, about 2 blocks away from my other son, so I think he raids his fridge pretty often in that regard. And pretty unique thing about Dylan, he left Raytown when he was in 6th grade. But to this day, if you look at his Facebook page, he went to Raymore High School, outstanding football career out there, great community. But if you ask Dylan where he was born, he'll tell you Raytown. And it was mandated when I was out in Raymore attending his 800,000 events over the years that he introduced me as being from Raytown. That was mandatory. He's proud of it. I'm proud of it. I know these gentlemen and ladies are proud of it, and I know you're proud of it. I've lived in Raytown. Oh, I need to make one correction. I was, the Kansas City Star said I went to Rockhurst High School. I guess when you put out RHS, 79. They forget us about here. I was a little disappointed in that, but my sister said, "Hey, go with it. It may get you the Catholic vote." She might be onto something in that regard. Didn't think of it. You gotta love your sister. I kind of hit the ground running early. I took on a family early, in my early 20s. Scott and Ray Adams were gracious enough to give me an opportunity to teach me a craft. Working 6 days a week, 70 hours a week. I think a work ethic was instilled in me very, very early. I bought a house right next to Mary Jane almost. I still live in that home today. It's endured 2 hailstorms, numerous events, and 2 trial attorneys. I still own that house. Those of us that are divorced probably get a chuckle out of that one. I've been also very fortunate to have some people that have took some chances on me in regards to some committees. I don't know, a chance might be the right word, but I've served 3 or 4 great committees in this town, and I was proud to serve on them, and met some wonderful people, and hopefully the committees that I served are better for them. If someone would ask me where we headed, we need young people involved in this community. We need the people to find replacements for the Bob Segos and the Al Maddoxes and the Steve Mocks, people that work diligently for the best interest of our community. We've got them. We've got them in this city. We need to find spots for them. We've got a bright future. We've got a branding issue and a marketing issue with Raytown. This is a great community. We need to expand. We need to let people know outside this community, this is a wonderful community to come to. Everybody's working towards a common goal. We've got streetlights. We've got code enforcement. There's plenty of people that are looking after those issues. Where are the people telling everyone how wonderful this community is? We need more of those folks. I'm one of them. My glass is half full. Some's not half full. I'm one of those people. I do appreciate you coming this evening, and I would appreciate your vote on April 7th. Thank you very much.
From Ward 5, Barry Park.
Hello, my name is Barry Park. I'm running for Ward 5. First of all, I'd like to just introduce myself to everybody. I originally grew up in Nebraska, Hastings, Nebraska, which is a town that is almost identical to Raytown. So I felt very comfortable when I moved here in the early 90s. My parents are still surviving, and I'm proud to say they're still married. My dad is a retired fireman, a captain on the fire department. My mother worked for the public school systems for over 20 years. So I know the value of a fire department, the public education system, as well as the police department growing up in the way that I did grow up. I'm also an Eagle Boy Scout. After high school, I came up here to Kansas City. I went to Kansas Community College, where I got a degree in mortuary science. After my mortuary science degree, I started here at D.W. Newcomer's Floral Hills Funeral Home in 1988. I have been with the company over 26 years through the transitions of the funeral home being sold and the different owners. And I'm proud to say, dedication, I'm still with the companies through all that amount of time. And that's the kind of dedication I want to give to Raytown as far as an alderman. Also, I would just like to say, in the question that was asked, some of the things that we need to support. One of them is, as an alderman, one of the #1 duties is passing budgets that make sense. Just like your own personal checkbook, you have to balance what you spend, and I believe that's one strong belief that I have. I'm a homeowner here in Raytown. I think that's very important. Do not rent. I own my home. I've been there for coming up on 25 years. I believe as an alderman also, It's important to work in a positive atmosphere for the community. The community is who you really serve, and I think it's very important to work for that community. Also, you have to work with the efforts with the mayor, the Board of Aldermen, and the department heads at all the different places in Raytown. I also would like to look into possibly a community center for Raytown for all the community people to enjoy. And then as a homeowner, I do know since 2006, property values have gone down 37%. That is something that really needs to be addressed. So as alderman, I just want to close with this. A mind works like a parachute when it's open. So I plan to have a very open mind and look forward to serving. Thank you.
Eric Tiemann.
I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for putting on the event, the Chamber of Commerce, everybody who decided to come out tonight and listen to what we all had to say and our ideas. I'm pretty much a lifelong resident of Raytown, aside from my parents getting divorced and being split between Raytown and Clinton, Missouri. I grew up here. I graduated from Raytown South, class of '95. We get to have our own football stadium this year. That's awesome. My brother graduated from here in '97. He wrestled for the wrestling team along with me. His name's hanging up in the high school gym. Raytown's home. I've been here all my life, aside from, like I said, a few minor periods in my life where I wasn't here. I've owned a home in 2 different homes in Ward 5. I'm well versed in what the issues are in Ward 5. I bought the home I grew up in that my dad purchased in 1979. I bought that from him in 2002. And then since moved out of that home, and I had the opportunity to buy a house anywhere. I looked everywhere. I looked in Parkville, I looked in Liberty, I looked in Harrisonville and Lone Jack, and I came home because Raytown's home. I've worked in my family's business since I was 15 years old. First it was the River Market Antique Mall downtown, then it was a moving company, and now I currently work with my family's Visiting Angels franchise, where we help senior citizens stay at home and get the assistance they need for their daily living. The question presented was, what do I hope to accomplish in my 4 years here? Well, I have 3 kids. I have 2 daughters. One's going to be graduating from Raytown South High School in 2017, not with just a high school diploma, but with an associate's degree. And I have a 12-year-old daughter who's very active in softball and basketball. And I have a 2-year-old son who's coming up along the ranks, and I'm really excited about his activities and wrestling and baseball and basketball or who knows what else. The problem is, I have to go to Raymore for my daughter to play softball. There's nothing here in Raytown. We started her softball team here in Raytown with Raytown Girls Softball League, and that's now defunct. Until this past winter, there was no basketball here in Raytown to be played. I had to go to Lee Summit, drop $160 or whatever their inflated cost was, or go all the way out to Blue Springs to have activities for my daughter. There is a huge glut of opportunity here in the middle part of the eastern side of Jackson County, where there is nothing for the youth to do unless you're willing to drive way out to Blue Springs, out to Raymore, cross the state line into Kansas, or go north of the river. That is, everybody's brought up how they want to bring new homeowners into the area to raise the tax base. You have to be appealing to young families to do that. If you want them to buy homes, there has to be stuff for them to do here in town. A lot of the things that we can do, not only that we could do to support young families and provide those activities, those things would also benefit everybody else in the city when it comes to things like sidewalks and walking trails and parks and different facilities in parks for young families to use, but also for the senior citizen community to use also. I agree with everybody's opinions when we want to make sure we have good code enforcement and have good street lights and have lots of sidewalks. I agree with all of those things, and that's fine. And I could support a lot of efforts in that as long as it was done responsibly. But the question was what I wanted to accomplish, and I want to continue the work that the Parks Board has been doing with the public school district to provide more opportunities for kids. I'm excited that they're going to be starting a volleyball program. They started the basketball program this winter. They've expanded wrestling in the school district. All of these activities are good. These are the things that will bring young families to town to help with all of the other issues when it comes to having the tax base and having the revenues and having the small businesses in town to do the things we want to do to make Raytown the place where we want to live. So once again, I'd like to thank League of Women Voters, Chamber of Commerce, the mayoral candidates who came out and told us their views. And I'd like to ask for your vote on April 7th. Thank you very much.
I don't even live in Raytown, and I'm excited about the election. You have been a very attentive audience. I've watched you all evening, and you're very concerned citizens, and that's wonderful. I hope you will take your enthusiasm and the information that you've gained here today and talk with your neighbors and your friends, your family, and get them to the polls on April the 7th. Extremely important. The candidates have said that they will stay around and visit with you individually, so we're inviting you to do that. Thank you so much for making this a very successful event.